other things also. So last session we talked about profiles. So, and in profiles, what did we see? We saw that we can control permissions to apps, objects, and tabs. So these are the things that we saw in our last session, right? In case you need to control permissions on applications, objects, or tabs, you can do it through profiles. Okay. There is one more requirement that a company can have. Okay. This requirement is controlling permission to the fields. What is this field permission? Think, for an example, there are certain users, you want them to be able to access certain object, but one or two fields of that object are you don't want them to see that information in that one field. Let's say we talked about the project object and the client object. Okay, so let's say in the project object we had a field called estimated time. We had that field. Let's say the company wants their HR people to see the name of the project and the start date, end date, but they don't want them to see only that estimated time field. They just want to hide one field. That is pretty much possible, right? In our last session, we were talking about controlling access to the entire object. So not giving access to the entire table. That is one scenario. The other scenario can be they want to give access to the table, but one of the fields in the table they want to restrict. That is possible, right? So for that, what we have to do, we have to define field level security. So this is called field level security. And this is also done through profile. Let's go and do this. So this is also on profile. Where do you see profile? Under setup, manage users, profiles. Let's take any of the profiles. Okay, so to control the field level security on a profile, you won't need to click on edit. Please don't click on edit. Scroll down a little. Come here to field level security. Okay. In this field level security, you can define access to a particular field also. Like for project we were talking, right? So come to the project object, all the objects are listed. Click on the object. The moment you click on the object, it will show you the list of all the fields there, right? And then you can click on edit and control the access to the field. So estimated time. I don't want this field to be visible. That is what I want, right? So you can remove the access, or if you want, you can make it a read-only field for certain profile. So we have both the options. Either we don't give the access to view the field as well, or we don't give the access to edit the field, right? So it's pretty similar to the objects thing that we did the other day, but here we are just dealing in an individual field, and here it was a complete object for which we were defining the access. Here, so whatever components we had, before talking about profiles, we talked about the different components of Salesforce, right? And we designed the data model and we designed the application. So whatever components are required for designing the application, access can be controlled on everything, almost everything, right? So security and access part is applicable on each component of Salesforce. It can be application, it can be a tab, object, field, not just all these things, I mean other things also. When you start creating a report, you will need to control access on reports. When you start creating your own pages, there will be access control on pages. So whatever is being created, because that is a kind of requirement they have, right? So far we have just talked about these things, so that is the reason why I am talking about these. So as and when we talk about other things, I will keep on telling you how the access is controlled for all those things, right? So profile thing we have understood. Now the next requirement. So these four things are fine. Now the next requirement that I have is data access. Access to these things is fine, but what about data access? Okay, let me give you an example. Let us take a simple example. Let's say you have we were talking about projects and clients and consultants, right? Let's say in your company you have 50 clients, okay, and you have two project managers. Okay. Let's say you have two project managers. One is Vijay and other is Ajay. Vijay handles 20 clients and Ajay handles 30 clients. Okay, record owner. So Ajay is the owner of 30 clients, Vijay is the owner of 20 clients. Now, what the company wants, they want that Ajay should not be able to see these 20 clients which Vijay owns, and Vijay should not be able to see these 30 clients that Ajay owns. Okay, so the company wants to put a restriction that anyone at a project manager level should not be able to see the data of other project manager. Okay, and that's a pretty valid requirement. So it is pretty much required in companies. Think about things like when you put, I'm just giving a couple of examples. All your PTO request and all that you put, that also goes into some system, right? Your friends do not see that, or your colleagues do not see that. You see your request, or your appraisal details that you put there. Others do not see it. Your manager and all might see that, but others do not see that, right? So that is pretty much possible in this kind of a scenario also. When we are talking about CRM or any other application, there can be a requirement where the business does not want one project manager to see other project managers' data, or one sales executive to see other sales executives' data. So now this is where we need to control the data access. Fine. So here we have to control the access to the data, because clients, all these 50 clients are in this object, right? So both of them need to have access to clients object. So this object level access will not work here. Tabs wala thing will not work here, because both of them need access to the clients tab. Both of them need access to the apps. Both of them need access to the same fields. So till here they need same kind of access. But the data, the records, now we are talking about the records. The record level access needs to be different. So for that, what they need to do, or what we do in Salesforce, there is this concept called sharing settings. What is sharing settings? Sharing settings is setup that we do for the sharing of records. Okay. So as I told you, Ajay owns 30 clients. So these 30 clients, who is the owner? Ajay. these 20 clients, who is the owner? Vijay, right? So whether Ajay will get to see Vijay's records or not, that depends on our sharing settings. Okay, whether the records are shared publicly or privately. So that is very simple concept. You have to make the data available publicly or privately. Okay, a private data means only the owner of the data will see it. Public data means if you make the data public, everyone in the company will get to see it. So that is the simple logic. Fine. So we have just 2 project managers here. There could be 100. So it's not possible actually go and define that which project manager will see my data, who will not see that. It's not possible, right? I mean, even if it is possible, it will make things very complex. So for that reason, they have kept it very simple. You have to go and make the data either private or public. So sharing setting will be either private or public. Private means only the owner will get to see the data, right? Public means everyone will get to see all the data. So in this case, if I make client's object as private, so what do we need to make private? We need to make private or public data from a particular object. So in this case, if we go and make the data under client's object as private, then Vijay will only see 20 records, Ajay will only see 30 records. If we make the data under client's object, these all 50 clients, if we make this data as public, then no matter who is the owner of which record, both of them will get to see all 50 records. So that is the simple logic. So that is how we define the sharing settings. Okay. So sharing setting is all about making data as public or private. Okay. And once something which has been made private is only visible to the record owner, something that has been made public is visible to everyone. Okay. And this thing is called OWD, organization wide default, right? So this private or public setting is not specific to a user or specific to a group of users. This is applicable on the entire organization, right? So that is the reason why this is called organization wide default, OWD. Okay, let's say how we define that. Let us see this. For the sharing settings, you need to go to setup, come to the security controls, click on sharing settings. Okay, so let me show the navigation again. Go to setup, security control, sharing settings. That's it. Okay. Under that we have organization wide defaults. So organization wide default is what? We have the list of all the objects. As I said, organization wide default means you have to define the data as private or public. Whatever you define, if you make it private, it will be private across organization. If you make it public, it will be public across organization, right? So that is the only thing that we need to define. So under organization wide default, you have a list of all the objects, whatever objects you have in Salesforce. Lead, account, contact, opportunity, your custom objects, project, customer, consultant, client, whatever, right? So as we were talking about client, so if I go and say edit, So the data from which object I want to make private or public, I'll have that option. Let's say client, we are talking about this client example. Go ahead and make it private. So see, the good thing that we are doing here, or the important thing that we need to understand here basically is that I am just saying private or public for the data under an object. I am not specifying name of a user or group of user, right? That is the reason why this is called organization by default. So whatever you define here, the rule that you define here, that is applicable on the entire organization. So this becomes a default for the entire organization. Okay? Clear? And if you keep it public, public read only means others can only see it. The owner can see and edit. Anyone else can only view, only read only. Public read write means everyone can see, everyone can go and edit. Right? So that is the thing. Alright. Then beside this thing, beside the access thing and all, there is an option called grant access using hierarchies. Now what is this grant access using hierarchies? Under this, it means, you know, someone, in Salesforce we have that option of setting up a hierarchy, okay, who works under whom and that sort of thing. We have an option of doing that. I will just show you that. So someone who is on top of a particular person as per hierarchy will still get to see the data even if it is private, which means your manager will all get to see your data even if it is private. Grant access using hierarchy means even if you make the data private, no one will see it, it's fine, but your manager will still get to see it. So that is grant access using hierarchy. Okay. So I mean, we just took it, this simple example of appraisal. Let's say you are submitting your appraisal details and all those things. Your colleagues will not see it, others might not see it, but your manager needs to see it, right? So most of the times the requirements are like this, that they don't want people at the same level to see the data, but the manager or the person who is, you know, on top as per the hierarchy needs to see the data. So that is there. So if this is checked on, the access will be given by default through hierarchy. Okay, even if it is public, then there is no point of this. I mean, if something is public, then it does not come into picture at all, because anyhow my data everyone gets to see it, right? But if it is private, then this thing comes into consideration, that okay, now do you want to give access to the managers through hierarchy or not? Okay, so if you check it off, then even the manager will not have access. If you check it on, then the managers will have access. Okay, so this is something which we need to consider only if the data is private. If it is public, anyhow everyone in the company is able to see it. So manager is also one part of the company, so he will also get to see it, right? Clear on that? So two concepts that we have talked about here for data access. One, we talked about the organization by default, public, private. Secondly, giving access to the managers through hierarchy. Now the third thing that we'll have to talk about here is sharing rules. I think we have a small question here. Just give me a minute. I think okay. Yeah, this default internal access and external access. What is the difference between this default internal access and default external access? So the difference is pretty simple. Internal access is, again, as I said, this is organization wide, okay, applicable on the organization. So this internal access is for internal users, external access is for external users. Okay. Now your question will be, what is an external user? External user means people who are not part of your company, but they are given access to their data. It can be your clients, it can be your partners. So there are certain settings. I mean, we will talk about external users after some time. We can create licenses for people like clients. So client also might need to come into my database and see the data and that sort of stuff. So this is the default external access, access for the external users. Okay. So that is the thing. But what we need to deal with, as you might have noticed, that we do not have too much of opportunity to edit this, or we do not have that option of editing it. So what we will need to deal with is the internal access, because we consider controlling the data within the internal users. So right, okay. So that is fine. We have sharing, we have talked about private public, we have talked about giving access through hierarchy, that is correct.